advice. My name is Sarah Brickel and I'm a singer, songwriter and vocal coach. I've worked in the industry for many years and I'm here to share with you the tips, advice and techniques that I've learned along the way. So let's talk about putting your own album together. So you've decided that you want to make your own album, and that's fantastic. You know, I think sometimes it takes a long time to get to that point where you feel confident enough to maybe put your own thing out there, or get some people together and ask them if they will be part of your own project, which is quite hard at first. You think, oh, they're going to think this is rubbish, or is it's going to be alright? But just having the confidence to go, okay, I want to do this now and I'm going to focus on it and it's going to be great. So we might have the idea, but how do you go about it? So it's breaking it down into sections, because if you think about it all at once, then you're never going to do it, because it's just a massive job. How are you going to fund it? Now you might be thinking, well, I just do it on the cheap, I just burn off a few copies, which is fine, you know, that's all good. You know, if it's your first one, you're doing some local gigs and you just want to get these out and you know, people are just going to give you a few quid for them, then that's fine. Go for it, do it. But if you want to do something that looks good, that sounds good, that you can really, you know, you're thinking, right, I'm going to get this out there, I'm going to either do it independently as an independent musician, and I'm going to get it, you know, distributed out on the internet for people. It's got to look good, it's got to sound good, it's got to be marketable. You know, maybe you're thinking of it's just a demo or something that you're going to get out to some labels. It's still got to look good. You know, it's still got to be a finished product nowadays. Unfortunately, the days have gone when you could just send a crappy sort of 3-track demo and they go, yes, we will sign you up, you're amazing. No, they want it given to them on a plate, basically, and then they'll decide, oh, can we market that? Okay, we'll just stick our little label on it and then we'll just distribute it out, which is great. Good distribution deals nowadays are the new record deal, really. So that's all good, but how are you going to fund it? So first of all, maybe go back to how do I make a living out of being a singer. So the money that you earn from doing the functions, doing the little local gigs, the little jam sessions that you turn up with your pad, the teaching that you do, keep some of that aside to do this project that you've always wanted to do. There's also ways, if you've already got a fan base, there's a lot of bands nowadays get their fans to fund their next album. So they have something on their website where people can donate towards it, and then they kind of, in a way, earn a share of this album that's going to be put out there, of this band or this singer that they really love. And it's amazing, really, the things that you can actually do if you just look outside of, well, I don't have the cash to do it. Well, think about different ways of earning it. You know, get the money in, do it as you go along. Think about it as a year project or a 2-year project. Because if it's something you really want to do, it's worth it. Don't just whip it off in 3 months and then you regret, you know, oh, the mix is awful, or that was awful, or I should have spent more on the photographs because they look bad. You know, do it properly to start with. First of all, your songs. Are you going to write some songs? Have you already written them? Maybe you've already done it, you know exactly what you want to record. Maybe you're going to cover some songs. You know, you need to look into getting a license to sell a CD with songs that you've covered on. So say you're going to do a whole CD of covers, then you need to make sure, if you're doing it the right way, that you pay for a license. A lot of pressing places, when you come to getting your CD pressed, okay, when you get it duplicated, put in a box, they're going to want to see this license because it's a legal document, basically. So make sure you do look into all that. So what songs are you going to do? Are you going to write the songs in the studio? Are you going to do it over this period that this project's going to take. Who's going to produce it? Are you going to produce it? Is one of the other band members going to produce it, or someone that you've got in to play for you, or your friend, or you know who? These things are quite important. I think sometimes we dive into projects and we just think, I am going to do it all myself, and then it's just you get bombarded with all this stuff. And it's great if you can do it yourself, but sometimes when you're writing the songs, performing the songs, producing the songs, recording the songs, you know, doing all of that, can sometimes you need someone else's opinion to have a listen in and just see what they think. So have a little think about maybe a couple of you. You know, if you're just a singer and you've just asked some musicians that you don't really know to come and do this project with you, then that's okay to ask one of them, do you fancy helping me produce this? They probably love it. They've probably been waiting for an opportunity to do it for, you know, a long time. Or you ask around, find a good producer. You're going to have to pay them. So, you know, it depends on the budget. Think about what you're doing. Who's going to engineer it? Are you good with technology? Or, you know, have you got a pal that's a good sound engineer? Or is one of the band members good at it? Or are you going to just sit down and teach yourself how to do it as you go along? So the next thing to think about is musicians. Who's going to actually play on it? Or are you going to program it? Are you going to get someone to program it for you? Kind of, maybe it's an electronic type track, maybe it's a dance CD, I don't know. Think about what you want it to sound like. You know, what type of instrumentation are you going to get? Are you going to get the musicians to play all together and record that, or are you going to layer it up? So just keep these things in mind, think about it. So once you've actually recorded these tracks, think about who's going to mix it. Are you going to mix it? Are you going to all mix it? Whoever's been on it, are you all going to get your heads together? Sometimes mixing is quite a personal thing. Get obviously some people's points of view when you've had a go or someone's done it for you, but just make sure you think about it. The mix is the most important. So if you don't get the mix right, you're going to always look back and think, oh, that should have been a bit louder, or that should have been a bit quieter. So take your time with all that and get it mixed well. Mastering, really important. Don't just overlook this bit. Don't just think, oh well, it's mixed well, so I'm not going to bother with the mastering. There's plenty of people you can find that do mastering and they won't charge you a fortune. Some people do it per track. You know, you might send the tracks to them, they'll master them, send them back. We found someone where we went to a company and they mastered the whole thing. Sort of just an overview of the album, you know, made all the levels right, everything sounded right, put the gaps in between the songs. How long do you want between this song? Which song should go where? There's little things that you don't think about that are important, so do get your album mastered. Is this album going to be a physical product, or is it just going to be a digital download? You know, you're just going to sell MP3s, or you're going to sell it on gigs. So if you do gigs and there's people at these gigs, you need something, a physical product. Get them to buy it off you at the gig. Okay, so there's going to have to be some kind of artwork or something like that, and you're also going to have to market it at some point. So think about what you want. Is it going to be a photograph of you? You know, are you the main person, the singer, on the front of the CD? Or is it going to be of the band? Or do you want some special artwork? Are you going to get someone to design it? Are you going to design it? You know, you might have the creative things to do that. A great tip that I would say is get yourself Photoshop or something like that. I use Photoshop Elements and I do all my own marketing, I do all my own design stuff. So I make my posters, my flyers, I send them off to be printed, but I do them all myself because it saves me money. If you think that you might possibly be able to get it in some shops or just for online, You might want to get a barcode. You can get this from places. I got it from the place that mastered my album. A barcode that sits on the back, and then again it looks great, it looks professional, it looks like, you know, you can take those to a shop and say, right, will you take some of these off me, and you know, they can just scan that into their computer, and anytime someone buys it, beeps, it goes straight through their system. Fantastic. So like I was saying before, if you're going to cover songs, even your own songs, registering them, because then you can be collecting your PRS in the UK, have a look, see where you live, what is there. So thanks very much for joining me. If you've got any more questions, please feel free to email me, sarah@singersadvice.com. I'll see you next time at Singers Advice.